Hey guys, it's me, Seren, back with another video. So this video is about this Michael B. Jordan situation. So this was sent to me by Leanne Draws on Instagram. Hi, Leanne Draws on Instagram. And she sent me a thread from Ebony Teaches at Ebony Teaches on Twitter, which before I got banned, we used to be mutuals. She's super smart. She's a teacher that's located in, I want to say, Pennsylvania, and she has a lot of really, really interesting threads on Black Americans and culture specifically. So Leanne Draws sent me a thread that was talking about Black American culture and folklore and mythology. And I had said, like, oh, I love Ebony, but can you tell me, like, some of what is the backstory on this? What is the context? And she was like, oh, well, Michael B. Jordan gave an interview to Vanity Fair where he said in the interview that Black people have no mythology and no folklore, and that is part of why he's launching his own production company to tell stories. Okay, so there's been a lot of backlash to this statement. A lot of people are saying that it was taken out of context. Vanity Fair released a full excerpt of the article. I read it. From what I saw, it didn't seem like it was taken out of context. I read the whole entire article. I read the original quote, which is that Black people have no mythology and no folklore. I read the full excerpt, and then I went on to read the whole entire article. It didn't seem like it was taken out of context to me. It basically said, like, Michael B. Jordan basically said Black people have no folklore and we have no mythology, which in my opinion loosely translates into we have no history and we have no culture. And he said some stuff about, like, we have to make up mythology and we have to make up folklore because that's how people dream. So the context, people saying that, you know, we're like missing the point or whatever, I feel like the context is very clear of what he said. And I feel like what he said is interesting on two different levels. So on the first level, it's interesting in terms of the idea that Black people in general have no folklore, right? And that we have no mythology and no culture. It reminds me of an old video that I did, like one of the first videos I did that was called like PSA Black People Have Culture or something like that. Of course, I'll link it in the description box, or it will be under the eye in the right-hand corner, both places. And in this video, I was kind of talking about how there's this belief that Black folks in general, just like Black people, the Black diaspora in general, does not have a culture. Like that Black folks have no culture, we have no ethnicity. Again, we're just this like monolith, this like flat, we all Black, you know, to the point where we're even accused, you know, various ethnicities within the Black diaspora have been accused of stealing things that are a part of their own culture. That video in particular was about certain ethnic groups like West Indians or certain types of ethnic groups in New Orleans wearing headdresses, because it was like a big conversation about that's cultural appropriation of the indigenous groups of North America. They were being accused of appropriating Native culture. And people were like, no, that is also the culture of Black people. Like, we have our own ethnicities. We do have our own culture within the Black diaspora. We do have our own mythology. We do have our own folklore. And in that video, I remember saying, like, y'all just really think Black people don't have shit. Like, y'all think we don't have shit. Like, there's really an idea that, again, we have no culture. We have no history. We have no heritage. We have no folklore. We have no stories. We have nothing. We are nothing. We are no one. And it's just very sad to me that Michael B. Jordan even feels this way, that he would even feel comfortable saying this in this article. And then a lot of people were also bringing up the point of this is also why you need, you know, Black people in media, because nobody at Vanity Fair thought to check that. Nobody, right? Everybody thought that was a perfectly fine, you know, quote, an ideal to run with. And they even used that as their excerpt on Twitter because they thought people were going to love it probably. And people were going to be like, oh yeah, niggas have no culture. Yeah, like somebody was like, this is what happens when you too woke. You guys know I like hate the term woke at this point, but somebody was like, this is what happens when you like too, like you feeling yourself a little bit too much and you just start saying stuff that's like real stupid, right? Like, I just find it to be sad, like, that he would even say that he even feels this way. Like, he obviously doesn't know anything about the Black diaspora and about his own people in particular, the descendants of American chattel slavery. Otherwise, you would never even, regardless of the context, that sentence, Black people have no mythology, we have no folklore, would never come, like, Black people have no folklore? Like, it sounds ridiculous. It would never come out of your mouth if you knew, you know, if you knew, like, you don't know, you don't have the knowledge, you're ignorant, like, I beg of you, like, pick up The People Could Fly by Virginia Hamilton, which was a book that I had as a child. My grandmother bought it for me, full of, you know, Black American folklore specifically, right? Like, just how can you say that? So this shit is, like, sad on just that one level, right? Black people, the Black diaspora, does have mythology, does have history, does have heritage, does have culture, period, right? So that's level 1. But then we had level 2. We had level 2 of the nonsense of this statement, which was that foreign Blacks went on to respond to what Michael B. Jordan said by saying, we have culture, that's y'all Black Americans that don't have culture. And it was like, oh, the plot thickens. So it started off with him saying Black people have no folklore, which is just wrong. But then it sort of devolved into this conversation wherein Black folks, foreign Blacks, claimed that they're the ones that have culture and we Black Americans don't, right? Like on some, oh no, like don't put us in there, like speak for yourselves because we have culture, y'all the ones that don't have culture, which is really interesting, right? Because it's this hierarchical system, right? It's this hierarchical system, which is what we've been talking about. These white supremacist, racist, hierarchical systems and infrastructure, right? Where non-Black people believe that Black folks as a whole have no culture and they're better than us, right? So non-Black people are up here, right? And Black people as a whole are down here, right? That's a white supremacist ideal. And instead of saying, hey, all Black people have culture, all parts of the Black diaspora have culture and ethnicity and heritage and folklore and mythology, right? Foreign Blacks say, no, we have a culture. It's y'all BAs that have no culture, right? That is utilizing this white supremacist rhetoric of this hierarchy, right? That's using this white supremacist rhetoric against us to ensure their higher place in the hierarchy, right? So non-Black people say, oh, you Blacks have no culture. And this is what Michael B. Jordan is mimicking, right? This talking point. So non-Black people say, oh, you Blacks have no culture and we are here at the top. And then foreign Blacks say, oh no, we have a culture. It's them. It's those BAs that don't have a culture. So now we're in the middle. We're a little bit higher. And then the cultureless Black Americans that really don't have shit, no mythology, no folklore, no nothing, are down at the bottom, right? The way that this conversation ended up kind of unfolding, right, is a prime example of the use of white supremacist rhetoric against us, descendants of American chattel slavery, by other Black people. You guys get what I'm saying? They have culture. They have mythology. They have folklore. So they're up here. Oh, but we Black Americans allegedly don't have culture. We don't have mythology. We don't have folklore. So we're down here, right? Which is false anyway, because Black Americans, yet again, do in fact have our own folklore. We do in fact have our own mythology. We do in fact have our own history, our own culture, our own ethnicity, our own heritage. Even within our group as descendants of American chattel slavery, we have subgroups, which again, getting back to this idea of Black people not having culture, like the, you know, people in New Orleans that wear the headdresses, that is a part of their culture. So it's just very interesting to see, you know, the two ways, the two prongs of the way that this white supremacist idea kind of unfolded. Because there was the initial idea, which is that Black people don't have folklore and mythology. And then that kind of like turned into this, well, us foreign Blacks do have it, but you Black Americans don't have it. So speak for yourselves, Michael B. Jordan, right? Which was just a really, you know, interesting way to, again, use that rhetoric, you know, to other, right? To differentiate. They always say that, right? Like, oh, Black Americans are othering us. Like, you guys other yourselves in an attempt to use white supremacist rhetoric against Black Americans to secure your own place in the hierarchy, right? And yet again, it's false anyway, because Black Americans, descendants of, you know, the Black diaspora as a whole does in fact have mythology and folklore, so that's wrong. And Black Americans, descendants of American chattel slavery, do also have our own mythology and folklore. You know, I implore Michael B. Jordan, I implore whoever needs to read it, again, to read some Virginia Hamilton, to read some Zora Neale Hurston. And it's just like, and is it just me, or does like Michael B. Jordan say like some super dumb shit like every fucking 6 months, and people just let it go, right? Like people just let it go. They just really forget. Like people really have selective amnesia when it comes to this dude. Like, and he really just strikes me as a certain type of Black person and a certain type of Black American specifically that like really, truly, genuinely believes in his heart of hearts that we are not shit, that we do not have history, that we don't have mythology, that we don't have folklore, that again, that we have no culture, we have no heritage. You know, he said it, right? We don't have any Black mythology or folklore. Like, what? What are you saying? And I'm all for him running his own production company, you know, where he creates new ideas and new opportunities for Black people and especially Black Americans. I think that's fucking dope. Like, I think that's cool as shit. Like, yes, like, do that. But don't say we have no folklore as your justification for running the production company, because that's just not true. And it's also a spit in the face to the artists, the cultural producers, you know, the folklorists that came before you, like the ego. Like, so you're just about to make up all the folklore and mythology because we have none. We had nothing before Michael B. Jordan was born. Like, sit your egotistical ass down, right? Pick up some Zora Neale Hurston. Pick up some Virginia Hamilton, do a little bit of reading, you know, before you speak on things that you obviously don't know anything about, right? But you think you do. So you open your mouth and you put your foot in it and you make a fool of yourself. And I've also said previously, like in my Black Panther reviews and stuff like that, talking about Michael B. Jordan and even to a lesser extent Ryan Coogler, you know, this idea too of Black Americans specifically that do feel like we have no culture, we have no mythology, we have no heritage, we have no folklore, and looking up to foreign Blacks because they feel like the foreign Blacks have a culture and we don't, right? Buying into this white supremacist hierarchical ideal that puts them above us, like we don't have shit, which is a false narrative. Like so many descendants of American chattel slavery really just have no pride, no self-respect, all this shame, you know, brainwashed to feel like we are lost, we ain't shit, we don't have shit, you know, we are nothing, right? And people really feel it. A lot of descendants of American chattel slavery really fucking feel that shit, and it's encouraged by the foreign Blacks that feel like we are not shit either. They're the ones that step right in, and instead of saying, you know, to Vanity Fair, which is white owned, right? Instead of saying to this white infrastructure, the Black diaspora does have mythology. The Black diaspora does have folklore. You know, we have it. Whatever, you know, pick whatever ethnicity or nationality you want to pick. You know, well, we have it in the Virgin Islands. We have it here. They have it in Black America. We all have it. Instead of stepping in and saying that, they said, oh no, you're talking about those Black Americans. You're not talking about us. You're not talking about us. We have it. They the ones that don't have shit. Perpetuating these hierarchical structures, perpetuating this white supremacist rhetoric and these false narratives, using them against the descendants of American chattel slavery to ensure that they're able to move up the hierarchy, right? Not wanting to dismantle hierarchical systems and structures of racism and white supremacy because they benefit. Prime example. So thank you, Leanne Draws, for sending me this. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I will have links and related videos and information in the description box. Food for thought as always. See you guys next time. Peace.